When does a Pokemon become too strong? Competitive players at Smogon, a fansite for competitive Pokemon, have been asking this question for many years with a variety of answers depending upon the generation. Some Pokemon have stood out significantly more than others, with few being more consistent than Landorus and OverUsed, the first tier of standard play, and Mienfoo and Little Cup, a lower power format that only contains unevolved level 5 Pokemon. Concerns have often been levied that these Pokemon are overpowered because we see them at the forefront of every generation, no matter if it's Black and White's overused to Scarlet and Violet's. They're there! Despite this, councils across the generations haven't banned them. There are many reasons why, but the main two are parasitic mechanics and why we play games. After the success of the last video, I have gotten enough funding to start a prison for the terribly broken Pokemon all across Smogon. Every like, share, and subscribe will help fund the education! I'm not legally authorized by Smogon to hold this prison, so any and all support helps. For no related reason whatsoever, haha, let's go over why Mienfoo and Landorus aren't banned, and why it definitely doesn't have to do with really expensive bribes.
I am invincible! Invincible! Ow!
When playing a game, has there ever been a mechanic that made you tear your hair out in frustration? This is so cheap! They're exploiting something unfun and unfair. Despite your best efforts to try and play around it, you still lose. These are parasitic mechanics, aka you cannot interact with them meaningfully. As an example, Generation 8's defining mechanic was Dynamax. On activation, it doubled your health and altered your moves. All of them now had high base power and either boosted your stats, decreased your opponents, or changed the weather. The best answer to an opponent's Dynamax was your own Dynamax. Trying to knock out the opponent quickly was impossible because of the HP doubling. Defensive counterplay was limited because moves in Dynamax went through Protect. The only way to stall your opponent reliably was through Max Guard, which was only accessible in Dynamax. The opposing Pokemon would get buffs if you played too passively, so it could easily snowball. You couldn't try to outlast it, and you couldn't try to outpace it. While Landorus and Mienfoo are strong, there is still counterplay. If you look at their base stat totals, they are good, but not absurd. Landorus has 600, which is strong, but many Pokemon have been in this range for years. Historic staples of OverUsed include the pseudo-legendaries, such as Metagross, Garchomp, Salamence, and Dragonite, which all share the BST of 600. Similarly, Mienfoo has 350 BST, which is not too standout. Vullaby, Marianne, Coughing, and Glimmet are all viable, with the lowest BST of the ones being mentioned being 300.
Base stat totals are important, but they don't define the entirety of why a Pokemon is good now, do they?
That is true, but the point I'm making is that these aren't out of the ordinary in their metagames. They are both above average, but not the strictly best of the best. In my Little Cup banlist video about Scyther and Duraludon, they were strictly better because it was just a stat check on whether you could beat them. Who's gonna win in a fight? The up-and-coming 5th grader with a chip on his shoulder, or a competitive deadlifter twice his size that has razor blades for arms? Their speed stats deserve special mention for being average. Mienfoo's 65 base speed means it'll be outsped by quite a bit. Stunky outpaces it naturally, while common Scarfers such as Growl, Hisui, and Gothita deal with it quite effectively. Gothita gets bonus points for trapping Mienfoo and dealing super effective psychic damage to it. A similar situation happens with Landorus. Base 100 speed is the standard, and Landorus is slower than that. Darkrai, Kyurem, Meowscarada, Walking Wake, and Weavile all outpace it. It's not so fast that you can't keep up with it. Despite these downsides, 3 factors make both of them so ubiquitous. What makes their strengths shine are their flexibility, resiliency, and consistency.
We'll kill them all for you. Shoot them, stab them, smash them, set them on fire.
So here's a question for you. What kind of playstyle do you enjoy the most? Do you want to go all in with your offense and defeat the opponent quickly? Or would you prefer to take it slow and whittle down the enemy before you're ready to strike? Or would you prefer to just adjust on the fly and with a more balanced team to do either? Winning is fun, but if it's not your way, what's the point? In game design, this type of gamer is called Johnny, one of the gamer psychographics. These were turned by veteran game designer Mark Rosewater, which you may know if you have played Magic the Gathering. Being in game development, he asked the question, well, why do people play games? For the various different players he saw, he categorized them into psychographics. One of the biggest parts of Pokemon is self-expression. What starter do you pick? Which team do you make to take on the Elite Four? Do you choose your favorites or the most powerful? The flexibility of Mienfoo and Landorus allow players to still express how they want to win while being strong. Both can be run as either fast or slow pivots, capable of buffering the enemy assault and wearing them down in the process. Swords Dance gives them a more aggressive option, and with high base power moves such as High Jump Kick, Stone Edge, and Earthquake, they can be terrifying to face. Scarf can be run quite comfortably as well, providing the speed boost they need to outpace the competition, and providing valuable speed control. Landorus has a very special role on hyper offense teams. We strap a bomb to it.
No, 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 no! Wait! Wait!
Throw up entry hazards, explode, and watch from the hospital as the rest of your team wins. Just because it's one Pokemon doesn't mean you can't use it the way you want to.
But, Shani, how am I supposed to know which version of the Pokemon is which? That's a lot of options to deal with, and I guess wrong, I'm gonna lose. Like, come on, man.
Guessing which variant of the Pokemon your opponent is running is dependent on their team composition and is a vital part of skill expression in team building. While there isn't a guarantee every team will be running the exact same Landorus or Mienfoo, it's your job as a player to make judgments on what they could be bringing. If teams don't have an obvious win condition, it could likely be Swords Dance. Most of the team isn't that fast, likely running Scarf. It's up to you and your skill as a player to figure it out. Other Pokemon could fill that role, but Landorus and Mienfoo are standout due to their resiliency and consistency. What is the point of competition? There will always be one winner, and in the pursuit of victory, why should you handicap yourself with suboptimal techniques or inadequate equipment? That is the essence of Spike, the second gamer psychographic. They want to win. If it's strong, they'll utilize it to the fullest. If it's not reliable and consistent, then why use it? Resiliency is a key factor in a consistent performance, and both Mienfoo and Landorus have it in spades. Mienfoo has the ability Regenerator, which heals you for 1/3 of your HP whenever you switch out. So let me repeat that. Doing what you want to be doing anyway in switching out versus bad matchups is rewarded with 1/3 of your health. Landorus is in a similar situation due to its ability Intimidate, which lowers the opponent's attack on switch-in. Even without investing into your defenses, this allows Landorus to sponge quite a few hits. Combine this with the ground flying typing, which has 2 immunities, and you can easily find opportunities to switch in. This allows them both to consistently apply pressure to the enemy team with their above average offenses. Mienfoo has base 85 attack, which doesn't sound like too much until you realize that the highest on a viable Pokemon in Little Cup is 100. It's only a stone's throw from the highest attack in the tier, and it shows. Landorus has base 145 attack. There are only 4 Pokemon with a stronger base attack in OverUsed, that being Rampardos, Regigigas, Slaking, and Haxorus. Landorus hits almost as hard as Pokemon Game Freak turboed into the ground because they knew they would be too strong without a significant downside. Let that sink in. While both can punish the enemy with their deep movesets, 2 standout moves are Knock Off and U-Turn. Knock Off is a dark-type move that removes items, such as Leftovers, which provides passive recovery, Heavy Duty Boots, which removes entry hazard damage, or Eviolite, which boosts defenses for unevolved Pokemon. U-Turn complements this exceedingly well. I'm going to oversimplify, but you know how I mentioned the switching out part being rewarded before? So imagine if, whenever you did that, you also punched your opponent in the mouth. Congratulations, that's U-Turn. You get to switch into whatever is best for you, deal damage to your opponent, and get benefits from your abilities. Finally, you have strong same-type attack bonus moves, or Stab. Landorus' Earthquake is quite spammable, with base 100 power with little downside. Mienfoo has High Jump Kick at 130 base power, and while this has the downside of recoil if you miss, Regenerator can offset the damage. You come in often, poke holes into the enemy team, can escape when threatened, and can be quite hard to truly take down.
Oh, well, doesn't that sound a bit unstoppable? How are you supposed to defend against something so strong?
They are resilient and consistent, but not immortal. Landorus can take many hits, but doesn't have reliable recovery. It reduces attack strength, but it still takes those attacks. Mienfoo's defenses are good, but not great. With proper setup, you can take it out with a single strong attack. Both Pokemon often need to check multiple enemy Pokemon, so while both can handle many separate engagements, they can't handle all of them. 4 move slots also greatly hampers their effectiveness because you can't run everything. Mienfoo really needs all of High Jump Kick, Knock, and U-Turn, but also appreciates moves like Taunt, Swords Dance, Stone Edge, Fake Out, or Acrobatics. Landorus is in a similar boat, needing Earthquake and U-Turn, and needs to choose between Stealth Rock, Taunt, Stone Edge, Knockoff, or Grass Knot. Fundamentally, both Mienfoo and Landorus are very strong Pokemon. They are resilient thanks to their abilities, which makes them consistent when combined with their good offensive coverage. Players can run them however they want due to their deep move pools. However, they can't do everything. Strong does not mean broken, which is why we aren't going to ban these idiots. Stop asking. On an entirely unrelated note, we are collecting donations to help fund the prison where Smogon is keeping everything that's too stupid for regular formats. Every like, share, and subscribe is that much more to keep the lights on while doing surgery on them. Thank you for watching. Thank you again to King of Candor for voicing the shoddy scarecrow, and may God bless you all.